Hey everybody, we are covering 5 Diablo 4 tips, stupid simple tricks that I cannot live without. Now these things are so simple that sometimes they're easy to miss, but I use them almost every single time I play, and I want to make sure that you have them too. So let's get at it. So one of the first things in leveling, the easiest thing you can do to speed up your leveling is going to be increasing your speed. The ability to move between mobs early on is very, very valuable. And we have some unique tricks in the current update to Season 4 and beyond, which is going to allow us to do something special with tempering. But first, we want to check at the very least that our boots have movement speed. Obviously, that's a lot of people talk about that, but that is very, very important. I think people ignore it in early game, but it's most important there. Now, if you look on this pair, this is definitely a really great one because I have the greater affix is the movement speed. So this is going to move me very fast by itself. And then I have a second temper. I have that 12% down there. Just underneath it. I wish I could hold still and float over it for you, but it's right there. And so this now has movement speed of the 27 plus another 12. So 39% movement speed on one item. Now, early on, you're not going to get a roll like that with the greater affixes. So what you'll do is spread your movement speed both on your boots, which is a place to do it, and look for amulets that also have the movement speed. I don't need any more. 40% is solid for what my build is doing, but in leveling, having it one here and one here, and then going to the blacksmith, coming in and doing your tempering. Let's see if I was going to do that with this. So both the amulet and the boots have this mobility option for the tempering. You click on that, and they either have a class-based one after you find the recipe. Usually when you're running the maiden a lot for some of the leveling strategies, if you've watched any of my videos on that, you are going to get a lot of recipes very fast. And so you usually have at least these early ones. You may have earlier versions of it where they don't give you as much movement speed, but generally you'll see a class motion and a natural motion. Both of these, if you look, movement speed is at the top, movement speed is at the top. So either one of these will work. Next, one of the issues we have early in World Tier 3 and even 4 is that we don't have all of our Paragon points. You know, we're starting to get some of them and use them, but Paragon points do offer for a lot of builds a lot of your protections from resistances. And so early on, you don't have those. And so you have to figure out ways to keep these up to the 70, or at least, you know, in World Tier 3, I'd say you want around 40 to 50 minimum for these to give you a decent clear through most stuff without worrying about one-shots. Fire is going to be a little bit more important, especially if you're running Maiden a lot in Helltides. But what we can do, again, that has saved me a ton of time, let's say that these were low, I was in World Tier 3, any armor piece or any piece that does defensive, again, with the tempering, I can drop an item here, inside defense, natural resistance. So it gives me an opportunity to roll for the resistances I need through tempering. This can really round out getting that capped resistances so that you are able to clear the material pretty safely and even push the limits a little bit and just have a blast without worrying about if you're going to get one shot by everything. Or at least the bosses and the maiden when she decides to single you out. So another thing to do on that, and just this isn't expanded and it's something I think about a lot, but I think more people know it, is just the sockets into your jewelry, your ring and your amulets. Those can also be done to help your resistances. So between the tempering and that, you can do a very solid job to get your resistances up to a pretty decent level, if not capped. And so just clear, I'll show you these just so it's clear. So any of these gems, one of the items, the jewelry there, 45% resistance. Obviously, lower level ones, if we're only chipped or we're getting 9%, but that still adds up, you know? So being able to use whatever's missing and being able to target by picking the right gem is really a cool way to get those resistances on as well. And with pairing with tempering, you can get pretty maxed out even without perfect builds. Next is something that I kind of took for granted early on, but I would like, if I ever found myself like in trouble or like where I'd find, like I almost die like a little too often, there's usually one of two places. And the first one we covered was resistances. My resistances are low and they're hitting me with that particular resistance or that particular elemental power. And the second place is going to be right here in armor. Now, what I didn't know in armor is like that number. I just thought, oh, okay, we keep doing that higher, and just like we would attack power, right? But no, there is a cap on armor, and I think a lot of people do know this. But what people don't usually know is floating over this tells you exactly what this level does. So right now I have 9,221 armor. It is giving me a full reduction in physical damage of 85, which is the max. That's the max I can do. which is kind of funny because they're telling me right here, like if I had 9230 armor, then I would have the 85, the full protection for level 100 enemies and beyond, but I have it anyway, even though I'm under that, but it's slight. I mean, but I found that funny. So as you're earlier in the game, lower levels require a lower number of or lower amount of armor to get that 85% max. So you don't always know what it is. And as you're leveling up, it constantly changes. But this is how you can check it really fast. Do I have 85? Good. Now, if you have 85, you might be way over, and you actually might want to re-roll some of the stuff that you have going into armor just to see if you can actually maximize this by only getting the number you need and not more. But it will, as you level, obviously, if you have that, it'll give you that coverage as you go. But for the entire game, the max you're going to want right now is 9230. And that number may change, but for right now, if you're doing more than that, you're just wasting space that could go to something else. You could be rolling, you know, critical strike chance or something else of matter more. Oh, I guess for armor it'd be life or something like that. But that is a quick way to find that out. So this is another thing that I kind of took for granted. It doesn't always work, but it has saved a ton of time. And that is if you're with certain builds that have like a leap, a jump, or a teleport or something, and teleport and leap are probably your primary ones, then you can definitely use that to like skip around and like jump up on areas like that. So I could easily skip that. Now, if I had that had been like a jump or a ladder, that would save me a decent amount of time and I could just ignore that. Or I can jump across. Let's see if we can even do this one here. See if we can actually go away the whole way. Yeah, see, I can drop over that. So being able to jump over like landscapes like that, if you have a build that does it, it can be a great way to save a ton of time. So I want to show you this next one. This one has been a crazy time seller, probably one of the biggest ones, because it's not so much the time that you save by clearing mobs or how fast you kill, or, I mean, that does help and it does add up. But where people are mostly losing their time is the time they spend in town. So if I'm doing a bunch of runs, I really want to get back out there as soon as possible rather than just spending all this time inside the town. So what I will do as far as how I sort my bag to make it very quick, I will come in. This is early on. I do have greater fixes in here from my last run. That's unusual. That's pretty early because I'm level 55. I just got to World Tier 4, but that's a pretty decent amount of drops already for that. So I did have some rares in here. I don't really care about those. What I'm going to do is first I sort these, then I check the first item in each one. So this one I would normally take, it's 167, but right now I have a Tempest Roar. It's pretty crucial for the semi build I'm trying to put together. So I'm going to leave that on. Let's skip to the next thing. Let's look at weapon. The weapon I have is better, so I'm not going to use that one. So I can skip the rest of the weapons. Then I'm come here to the gauntlets. That's not that's an old gauntlet, so I must have already switched that. I'm looking at pants. Okay, so that's better. I'm going to go ahead and take that. Then, yep, that is the best of the pants because they sort in order. But I did have this cool one, and eventually I do want that back, but we're just going to save it and see if I can get away with either finding another one or with a stronger build without it. Shoes, again, it's better, so I'm going to go. I'm not looking for all the affixes to be great. I'm just switching out things that are generally better, and I can then roll the aspects that I want later. Ring, that ring is probably far better. I did just get this one, so this is another ancestral ring. So I'm starting, I mean, pretty close to already having a ton of ancestrals, probably almost on my slots. One more. Let's see, yep, and then I'll take that amulet as well. So this probably broke because I had just finished the capstone in 2 and then came into here. So this probably broke like whatever build I had. But it is putting me in place to have all ancestral gears pretty fast, and then I can make a very strong build. So next, I'm going to come in here. So this one I already marked. Actually, I should mark... No, I think that's it. That's all. No, that's all I'm going to mark. Oh, I may do a one-handed, so I'm going to hold on to that just in case. So that's what I was doing when I checked it. Now I'm going to go to the, so I'm going to go to my bag actually before I do anything else. And anything I know I'm keeping that's been marked like that, I'm going to just put it in my bag right now. So there it is. That should do it. Then I'm going to go to my blacksmith so that I come in, and what I'm looking for here is simply one thing, because in this season and probably ongoing, gold is going to be a bigger issue than materials. At least it seems to be the way it's going to be, because it's a big issue right now. So what I'm looking for is I'm just looking for this little marker here in the corner. That tells me that this item is an upgrade to my Codex of Power, either an upgrade or an aspect I don't have yet in the Codex of Power. So I look for those markers, and anything that has those, I'm just going to mark them. I'm not going to mark anything else. I'm just going to mark that one. And then I'm going to hit all junk. So if I had 3 items and I hit all junk, it would save me a lot of time. But in this case, I could have just done 1. But I hit all junk. It'll then break that down. I'll go ahead and do it. And then here's my aspect upgraded. So that's really cool. Now gold is of the biggest interest here. So now I'm going to go to gold. I'm going to click on, maybe I'll keep one of these. I'm going to keep one more helmet, I've decided actually. Then we're just going to clear all of this. So once I mark everything with a junk slash, then if I right click on any of them, they all go. So that has saved me a ton of time. So I can come in here, I check the things that are obvious. As I get later in the end game, I'm only checking great area fixes. I'm not doing that sort and looking at the best one of each category. I am simply just looking at the great area fixes. If they're better, then I put them in my bag, blacksmith, then sell. And I do it by marking all the things I want to act on with the junk marker. And that way I can do it in one click on the blacksmith by breaking down all junk. And then I still have not overlapped with anything or have the risk of breaking down anything I want to keep. So the next thing is around potions. So when I go and say I use a potion and I have one active right here, I know the potion that I use, and they're all different. Like if you're using like Holy Bowls right now, it's 15 minutes. This one is a 30-minute potion. And so I know that little marker that's starting to spread on it, that's measuring how much time I have left, is a good indicator about how much time I might be taking to do things. So if I start a nightmare dungeon, I check where this is, and let's say that it ends right around here. So I know this is 30 total minutes. That's probably a 7-minute run. And so anything that you can kind of get a decent feel on how fast that went or didn't go, you can generally improve a little bit, which over time does make your runs a lot faster. You also get good ideas of like how long the mating is without stopwatching everything. But nightmare dungeons are probably one of the biggest in the pit. Those are two places where I'm looking at. The pit obviously has a timer, so you can kind of tell from that. But it's still a good measurement to see how long things are taking. So if I'm doing this and I was like, oh man, I've noticed that I've actually been able to do Nightmare Dungeon in like 3 minutes, like only getting to this part, and it took me all the way this way. That's going to cost me a lot of time if I'm spending twice as long doing Nightmare Dungeons. Now, 6 minutes and under, 3 to 6 minutes is pretty good for a Nightmare Dungeon. So if you're just doing these quarters with the time you spend in town, not bad. But if you can speed that up, obviously goes a lot faster. You're leveling glyphs faster, you're getting more experience, whatever it is. But this gives you a good, without overkill, kind of way to understand how much time you're spending doing things. Next, also on the potion front, is going to be a potion that you have to get from a particular quest. What's really cool about this quest potion, we'll come in here and look at it because I have it available to create, is this first thing. I have a quest elixir. And so that is the elixir of anti-venom. What that does is for 30 minutes, it'll increase max life by 15 and poison resistance for 20. And you also get that experience boost. Why this is so cool, and I put it in this like small tips that you really want to know, is that it is not going to take the place of another potion. So if at this point, I'm also, whatever I'm running right now, if I can even show you, I buy one. If I use it, bam, I have 2 potions. So this one's giving me a 5% increase. This one's giving me 8. Now, if I also add an incense on that, I also get that boost. So this can add up really fast, and it's not knocking off that other potion or elixir, as well as giving you those extra perks to life and resistance to poison. Okay, so now if you did not see the anti-venom when you went to the alchemist, you couldn't create it yourself, there was no quest potions that you could make, then we are going to want to go down to Gay Cool here. And as soon as they're there, I'll walk over to where we actually pick up the quest so you guys can see that directly. We'll even get on I guess a tagger. Go up here and then this back area here. So you start the quest here. Let's go ahead and take it up. I'm not going to actually do the whole thing, but follow then the line from there, pinch of poison. So just load that, go do the things. Once you complete that, you'll have then the ability to make the anti-venom whenever you want. So if you guys want even more tips, do not miss this video where I go through my absolute favorite OP endgame tips.